Yes, friends, last time we finished the relational operators. Now it's time for our logical operators. So, what are logical operators, friends? What we mean by logic here, or in terms of the logic part, let's take a look at what logic or this thing is here. Sometimes, we may need to examine more than one relationship or situation at the same time. What do you mean? Now, please think of it like this. You signed up for a website. For example, you signed up for Instagram and you're about to log in. What do you enter, friends? Your username, right? You enter your username and also your password. So, what does Instagram do to verify your login, to confirm the relationship? It matches the username and password you entered with the ones it has on record. It checks to see if the username and password are correct. If they're correct, it lets you into the system. So, does Instagram do this? If you enter the username correctly, does it just say come on in? I mean, can you log in even if you enter the wrong password? No, you can't. What needs to happen? Both the username and password need to be checked at the same time. So, to make sure that two or more conditions are checked at the same time, we use these logical operators, friends. The first of these logical operators is and the second is the or operator. And here's what the and operator does, friends. As for the or operator, friends, it's represented by two vertical bars. These operators check the conditions and tell you how the conditions should behave at the same time. Let's go through a simple example, friends. For example, let's say we have a string called username. Let's make it a username, okay? Let's call it admin. And let's make the password 1234. Now, what do we do when logging in? When logging in, we're going to check if the username and password are correct. Now, here I define a boolean called isLogin. I'm defining a variable like this. What was a boolean, friends? A boolean is a variable that takes either a true or false value. So, what are we checking for here? We're checking if the username is equal to. We're checking if it's admin. What does this mean? You're asking whether the username variable is equal to the value admin. Now, you've verified the username, but at the same time, you also need to verify the password. What do you call this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So, what happened now? If this is correct and this is also correct, then log in. In other words, let isLogin be true. So, what does the code I just wrote do? Let's talk about it again. Username and password. Let's write it here. Are the username and password equal to each other? Guys, what's the value of username? Admin. What's the value here? Admin. So, what will be the result of this variable? The result of this operation will be true. Then I say, and at the same time, is this equal to that? That's what we're asking. What's the password? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? True. So if this is true and that's also true, when you combine both with and, think of it like this. When logging into a website, do both conditions, meaning both the username and the password, need to be correct? Yes. So what is the answer here? Since both are correct, it becomes true. So, islogin becomes true. When we look here, is easy login true? Let's see if that's correct. We look at the result. Is login true? So what if one of these two is wrong? For example, let me set admin to 1. What's the answer? What should it be? The answer should be false. Look, it's false. So even if the username is wrong and the password is correct, it shouldn't let you in. Or the username is correct, but the password is wrong. We check the answer, and again, it's false. So the logic is, only when both the username and password are correct, you can log in. In other words, the AND operation only returns true when all conditions are met. If either of the other two is wrong, or let's say you connected 3 or 4 with and, if even one of them is wrong, the result is false. Even if just one of them is wrong, the outcome is false. Alright, let's continue. What was the other one? The other one is the OR operator. Let's do a simple operation with the OR operator. For example, let's say string gender. Let's say our gender is male and integer age. Let's say our age is 15. We say that if someone wants to enter our system, we want them to either be female or older than 15. If either one is female, they can enter directly. They can be male, but if their age is over 15, they can enter. Let's say we have such a rule. So what are we going to do here? Let me assign a boolean again. Let's call it isConnect. I'm saying isConnect equals gender, gender equals equals. If it's female or if the age is greater than 15, let them enter. So, let them connect. Now, when we look at it, there are 2 cases that are wrong, friends. The gender is not female, and the age is not greater than 15. What will the result be? So, since neither condition is met, it will return false. As you can see, it's false. Alright, let's make the gender female instead of male. Look, I'm just changing this. The gender is now female. I'm running it. What did we get, friends? It returned true. So, see, just meeting this condition was enough for entry. Alright, let's keep it male, friends. Let's make the age 16. So, let this one be false and this one true. So what happens in this case? Again, it turns out to be true. In other words, if at least one of the conditions is true, the result is true, and if one of the results is false, it's false, or if one is true, it's true. That's basically the logic. Simple. By coding and structuring these in our minds like this, we can remember them later when we need to. We'll repeat and use these a lot over time, so don't get too hung up on them. Just do an example. It's enough to remember what it is and how it's used. Later on, you'll repeat these so many times that they'll be etched into your mind anyway. How am I supposed to memorize these? Don't overthink it, just keep going. See you in the next video, guys.